Okay, Jose on Andromeda, you have the floor.
Hey, thank you very much. So thank you all for coming so early. It's too early for me too, so I appreciate that. I'm going to talk a bit about Andromeda, but not about reversing, maybe just a bit apart. But I was preparing yesterday the slides. I was including like 75 slides, and today I was saying, okay, maybe I should just shorten the part of reversing, because most of you maybe have already reversed that. And I have also published some things about this, about the different versions. So I will try to focus more on the people behind that and how they are selling that. Also some statistics, groups who are using that. Okay. So I will start talking about introducing myself. So I'm Jose Miguel Esparza. I come from Spain, from Pamplona, from the north of Spain, where we ran in front of the bulls. You should try 1 year. And 3 years ago, I moved to the Netherlands. I joined the Intel team at Fox IT. What we do there is analyzing malware, as most of you, tracking botnets, and especially trying to get insights about who is behind the botnets and how is the relation between the groups who are behind the different botnets. For instance, we are doing a takedown together with the FBI last year related to Zeus peer-to-peer, for example, Slavic. So maybe you know about that. And I also security researcher at home, of course. I'm the author of PDF and a tool to analyze PDF files. I have done some NFC research, etc., etc. So this is more or less the agenda. So I'm going to introduce a bit Andromeda, and a bit the evolution really quick. And I have a lot of slides, so I will go to the things that I think that are interesting, but I will pass really fast to the other side. If we have time at the end, that probably we are not going to have time, I can go back. The dark side of Andromeda is about the people behind Andromeda. Then I will explain a bit the statistics that we have and some interesting use cases. So Andromeda was developed during 2011 and maybe 2010, and it was first advertised in the forums in July 2011. And from there, it was announced like a modular bot, really versatile. And what it's just a bot that periodically checks the server for tasks. And a task can be an additional malware, can be an update of the bot, or it can be a plugin also. So normally you can see Andromeda being spread via spam campaigns, exploit kits, but also other loaders that are dropping Andromeda. Okay, the current version is 2.10. Okay, so this is the part that I'm going to do really quickly. So let me check. It's 10. When I'm finishing at 10:30. Sorry, 10:30. Okay, thanks. So this is a summary of the evolution in the binary. So in the last version, for example, the encryption to connect to the panel it doesn't change. It's always the RC4 key. The response, it used to be the key of the RC4 algorithm was the bot ID. Now in the last version is the RC4 key again, not the bot ID anymore. The parameters used, I can go probably. So there are changes also in the decryption of the plugins and in the anti-analysis. So I'm going to go for the points, so some references, because I'm going really fast here. So you used to have some VMware detection, a lot of different checks in the previous versions, like VM detection, time checks, checking DLLs like Sandboxy or Komodo. But in the last ones, they just include a list of blacklisted processes. And this is the summary. So you have in the first versions, it was a lot of VMware stuff, VirtualBox, Sandboxy too. But interestingly, in the latest version, they added Python detection and Perl detection. And there was a hash that I didn't know. And one guy after posting that in my personal blog, he told me, hey, this doing the brute force of the SCRC32, he was saying, hey, this matches with antivirus process. It's a bit weird, really, because it will be the first time that they are blacklisting specifically an antivirus product. So it's a bit weird for me, because if I have to do that, I will include more products, right? So I don't know. Maybe it's another one that we don't know. So to bypass all these anti-analysis tricks, there were some hard-coded tricks. So like hard-coded hash of the volume, system drive volume. That was before 2.10, and now they added a registry key called is not VM, where you could put the, I think I have it here, no, where you can put your bot ID, and it will bypass all the check of the processes. Okay, so maybe if you are interested in reversing that, maybe you can do that to try to bypass it, so you don't have any problems. You can run Python or whatever. So these are all the parameters that are sent to the CNC panel. You can see the difference between versions. The last one, the 2.10, it's including JSON, so they are using JSON for the parameters. And what is interesting is that they included this BB flag. So the BB flag is it's checking the keyboard layout, if it's Russian or from Ukraine, Belarus and Kazakhstan. Sorry, and it will set this flag, and it will send that to the panel. And if this flag is set, it will send any task to the bot. So you cannot use, if you are using this specific version, you cannot use that to infect people from Russia and from these countries, because it won't send any plugin, any task, any update. Also, going quickly here, there are different tricks to try to fool the analyst. Like, for example, in old versions, there were, if the VMware was detected, they were dropping a CMD.exe in a port in your machine. That was in the version 2.06, I think. Then there are different fake URLs. In the first version, you have like this long URL with, you can see, fuck you feds, this is more safe than Pentagon, etc., etc. That after that, they were doing an XOR operation with that and having the actual URL, the real URL. And in the other versions, they just include some fake URLs. They are not using that for anything, not XOR, not anything, because the URLs are stored in another page of memory. So this was just fake. Not sure what are the URLs, so. So this is also interesting. So I wanted to skip this, but at the end I ended up explaining that. But so it's interesting that in the code they included a code to remove the code to decrypt the URLs. So they were decrypting the URLs and they were initiating the RC4 key, and afterwards they were overwriting this function, as you can see here. I have this. You cannot see anything. Okay, don't worry. So they were overwriting this, and it's especially bad when they replace the RC4 algorithm. So in one of the versions, they were decrypting, so they were modifying the RC4 algorithm, just an addition with a subtraction. So they were modifying that, and afterwards, they were modifying the RC4 algorithm to look like normal. So I was getting really crazy at some point, because I was saying, okay, I see that it's like this, and I was using the original RC4 algorithm to decrypt it, and I was like, it's not working, what the fuck? And it was because of that. It was just this. So they were having the specific offset of the RC4 algorithm, and they were putting a 2 there. So it happens that the 2A is a subtraction, and a 2 is an addition. So they also include a fake RC4 key That is the MD5 of Go Fuck Yourself. And then we have the plugins. So the older version, they used to have the SOX4, form grabbing, keylogger, and also a rootkit. Nowadays, they have the SOX5, they have the form grabbing again, the keylogging, and they introduce the TeamViewer. So it's not just that. You can write your own plugins. So they even promote that, and they create like small tutorials to tell you how to do it. And maybe we can see here. Can you? So you can see here some specific 2 examples and explanations. Just don't forget that the plugins run in the context of the bot, so exit process, killer. So they are really giving tips in the forums to write your own plugins. And so apparently it's quite easy. So what I have seen, and I'm sure there are more because I have not taken a look at all. There are at least a Pony plugin. There is a plugin that uses PowerShell to use an embedded DLL to download additional code and then launch it. You have some spam bots. I will tell you later a bit more about this, and proxy DLLs, etc. So it's not just the base plugins. Then about the panel, it has not changed really. It has changed a bit, but not too much. So from the panel, you can create tasks. You can see statistics about the bots. You can check the logs from the keylogger and the form grabber. And it looks like this. This was the really first version. You can see here the 101 that was in an advertisement. Then we have here version, this is exactly the same. So I don't want to zoom that, but this is version 206, and you can see that it's mostly the same. 207, well, you can change. What you can see here is in 207, it was including some tabs related to SOX4, form grabber, and keylogger. That was not there in the versions before. So just in the last version, they added JSON support, and they added a thing to support TeamViewer. So you can see the same for grabber and keylogger tabs, and then you have included in the bot list, you have a new column, SOX5 and TeamViewer. So if the TeamViewer plugin is just install a hidden TeamViewer in your machine, and it will send the user and password to the panel. So you will see here the user and password to connect to the machine. Okay. Okay. So this is the part. I have 20 minutes. Okay. So this is the part of the people behind Andromeda. So mainly there are 2 characters there, Wahoo, or I don't know how to pronounce that, and Ares. That's easier. So Wahoo is the developer behind Andromeda. Apparently he's Russian. He appeared in this scene around 2009. 2010, I will say 2009, and maybe he's young. There's not too much information about this guy really. But he's the developer of Andromeda. So then we have Ares, that apparently from Belarus, and he's the admin of a known forum, Damage Lab, and he's a skill reverser. And one of the things that he does also is reviewing software, and specifically also malware, not just malware, also like VPN software or something like that. So people is asking Ares, hey, guy, can you review my malware? and he makes a review, but really technical, about the insights of the binary and hooks and how they do stuff really and low level. And they publish that. He publishes that in the forums, so people can see that and can also with the contacts about the seller. So if you're interested, you can contact the seller and buy it. And related to Andromeda is now the point of the phase of Andromeda for the customers. They are customers, yes. So this is a small timeline. So back in May 2011, Wahoo was already testing the panel. The screenshot about the version 101 that I was showing, it was back then in May 2011. Then the first advertisement was in July the same year. And Ares was reviewing Andromeda 1 month later in August 2011. And then different versions were published by Wahoo all the time. One interesting thing is that in December 2011 again, he was starting to test a Jabberbot. So this Jabberbot, it was to rebuild automatically the binaries for the customers. And in February, it was already stable, apparently. The interesting thing of this timeline is that in June 2012, the project was frozen. So Wahoo was saying, hey, I'm going to stop. I don't want to do this anymore. And I'm not selling anything, so I just stopping in June. And it's funny because after some days, he was back saying, okay, I will sell, I will continue, but just for Russian customers. So some months later, in October, he was saying that all the project was transferred to Ares. So that's October 2012. And 1 month later, the old warrior was publishing a cracked version of the builder, version 2.06. So I think that has something, not sure when to. So October, important announcement. This is a translation, Google Translation from Russian, so don't. Project Andromeda and all rights are fully transferred, Ares, blah, 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 or questions to him, I don't care. And this one is also quite interesting. So he was saying Ares, once he gets control, he puts some rules. So to buy any version, you must provide with a list of your profiles to hack forums, a short description of the scope of your activities, who you are, and what to specialize, what you're doing, and how you plan to use the loader. As a result of the information received, you may be refused a sell if I have any suspicion, blah, blah, blah. So at this time, they were quite paranoid. And this is the screenshot of the leak. So this is the key that they were using, always the same key, okay, RC4 key. And you can see, you can put there the URL and the build ID, and it will create that. So what I think is that even if this cracked version of the builder was published in November 2012, I think before Wahoo was announcing that he was stopping because of some conversations, I think before that, this version was already circulating in the forum. It was not published, it was not official publication about the leaked. So it was not leaked really for the public. It was leaked, but in some communities, and that's why I think this guy Wahoo was stopping. Was saying, okay, the version is already leaked, so I don't have to do anything more. So I will stop. And then what I think is that he talked to Ares, and Ares was saying, hey, no, stop. No, let's continue, and I will do it myself, don't worry. So he continued developing, and Ares, you can see here, so from that point, Ares. So Ares was the one announcing the new the new versions, for instance. Okay, so the business model is just they are selling bot licenses. You have a bot license. Maybe before the leak, maybe this guy was also sending the builder. I'm not sure. Probably, at least at some point, because if not, it's not possible that it was leaked. So, but after that, they were just using a Jabber bot for that. So the Jabber bot was fully active in February 2012, and it was connected to the database of customers. So you were sending a command with your options, and you were getting some links to download your binary to be distributed. Okay. So you have different options to send to the bot, like if it's going to be resident or not, if it's going to be include plugins or not, if you need VM detection, if you need to stop some security services. And this is the syntax. So you send this to that bot, set resident off. I don't want to be resident, just memory. And then you build it. You say build. The 123 ABC is the builder ID. Okay, you can change that. And you add the URLs. And out of that, the bot will send you a link with the binary for you to be distributed. So about pricing, it has not changed too much. At the beginning, there were two branches of the bot. One was cheaper than the other one. Apparently, one of them was using a public technique to inject into processes, and the other one, apparently, a really stealth technique to do it, the version 2. The phone grabber was $500, and the keylogger was $200, and there was a rootkit with cost $300. So you can see on the right, that's the, I don't know if you can see, but I'm going to, that's the current price. So the bot license is $500. Then you have the rebuild. Every time you use the bot, they charge you with $10. And you have a, so they know it's all connected with the database. So if you have no credit, it will tell you, hey, you don't have credit. You have to recharge that or something like that. So the SOX 5, it's free. And then the phone grabber is again $500. The keylogger $200. And we have the TeamViewer costing $500. So that's about the underground thing. Sorry. So now it's time for the statistics. So we have been analyzing a lot of samples from Andromeda automatically, and the data set is like more than 10,000 samples. Probably there are more, but I was trying to exclude when you install Andromeda and then it writes itself on disk. That's another Andromeda sample, really, and a different hash, but I was trying to exclude that part. So we were finding that there are like 130 botnets, different botnets. I was classifying the different botnets because of the RC4 key. So that's quite unique, except the leaked version, of course, that they are all the same. You have different builder IDs, like almost more than 400. So you can use, with the bot, you can just put everything, everything you want. They were using a lot the date, for example, for the builder ID. So we have more than 40,000 URLs. So you can see, if you check samples and URLs, you can see that for every sample, you can, in average, like you have like 4 different CNC domains URLs. So this is a simple graphic showing that most of our samples, at least, of course, I'm basing these statistics in our data, of course, but you can have more, of course. There are some, for example, in the other statistics about spreading malware, because when you connect to an CNC of Andromeda, they can have tasks for specific countries, for example, or for specific bots. So these things are quite difficult to see. So this is more, you have the generic picture, okay, here. So most of them are the latest versions, 209 to 210. You have also some of the 206, because it's the leaked version. You can see that the 207 and 208, they are nothing compared with the others. And this is interesting because it shows the versions in the time, so in the last year. So you can see, okay, going to here. So you can see this version is the 209 back in 1 year ago. So around January or February this year, it was just dropping. And then you can see another line that is going up. And that's the latest version, the 210, containing JSON. As you can see, that makes sense. And then you have some peaks here, probably related to our analysis, probably, because they are all versions. But you can see that mostly this line is stable, and is the leaked version, 206. So you can see that the latest version, there are latest versions together with the 206, leaked version and paid versions. This is statistics related to botnets, versions and botnets. So you can see more or less is the same. Most of them are 209 and 210. You can see that the 206, 207, and 208, they are the same. But I think this is not really real because I'm checking, of course, the uniqueness of the RC4 key. And in the case of the 206, you know that there is a leak and they are using all the same key. So that's why. This is statistics about how many botnets are active per month. So in average, it's like 30 different botnets per month. And this is about the malware that is spreading Andromeda in general. Again, from our perspective, okay? So most of the Andromeda samples that we had, they were spreading bots, then also ransomware, click fraud, and then some loaders, bunkers, and other things like infectors, spammers, the DDoS tools, rats also, like AmiAdmin or Dark Comet or. And this is specifically talking about malware families. So we have a lot of Lethic bot, Neutrino bot, Crypto Wall, Flare SafeBet, I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's click fraud. Another bot, and at the end we have 2 bunkers. So you can have an idea, right? Mostly bots and ransomware. So I have still some minutes to talk about this. So some interesting use case of Andromeda. So we have the Anunnaki group. We released a report like 1 year ago talking about a group who was infiltrating in some Russian banks. From there, they were manipulating the ATMs and they were stealing money from there. They were also involved in POS breaches in the US. So it's an interesting group. And they were using Andromeda too. Apparently, there were 2 botnets. One of them, I'm not going to talk about that because it's a bit weird because I was even receiving a sample of this botnet, so it was quite widespread. I'm not sure if that was really focused on or related to this group, but okay, I will talk about the other one that we know better. So a mix of GOSI and Crydex variant was dropping Andromeda in some systems, and this Andromeda variant was dropping Anunnaki in some specific systems that they wanted. Another interesting use case is Smilix. Smilix is a Crydex operator, or it was because he was arrested this summer in Cyprus. He was using Andromeda to distribute a spam bot. And this spam bot, at the same time, was distributing spam with attachments, with a doc, with a macro. I think all of you know about this. And it was, again, dropping Crydex at the end. I think Trend Micro in July this year was reporting also about Andromeda botnet dropping POS malware. So they were using, Andromeda was spread using rig exploit kit, but also spam campaigns. And they were dropping PS, exec, and mimikatz to move around in the networks. And in some specific bots, some specific machines, they were dropping the POS malware. Then we have some random and interesting things that you say, and curious things. You say, oh, okay. So Jaime Blasco from Alien Vault was telling me, hey, there's an Andromeda bot using Tor. I was saying, what? It's not possible. send me the link or the hash or something. So I could not really check the dropper, but I have just the Andromeda. And the Andromeda part was exactly the same. He was just using an Onion domain. But the thing is that the dropper, checking in its own malware, but I cannot download it. It's private. So what I think is that they were setting up the proxy in the registry. So there was a proxy. So they were going there to resolve the domain, probably. So that's an interesting use case. And then you have different things like Andromeda, also boundary in other exe, and then dropping at the end a PDF file. So this is related to a spam campaign. Probably a spam campaign related to gift cards. Because you can see here your gift card, blah, blah, blah. So it's quite smart. I will do it. Because if you are sending a spam campaign saying this is your gift card, and when you click, you don't see anything, it's a bit suspicious. But if you see a PDF with really a gift card, it's okay. Another thing also, just for fun, one Andromeda botnet using some domains from antivirus companies, Norton, Avast, and it's interesting that they even were trying to mimic the path with base or AV bases, etc. And just to finish a bit, talking about Veronica, was doing a talk yesterday about the Andromeda botnet, and someone was asking about the plugins. About that. So I took a look. I already have in mind taking a look before because we have a lot of plugins. So in this botnet, there were like 10 different hashes, but of the same plugin. And this plugin was a spam bot, really. You can see in the called Yahoo or something like that. You can see that in PDB path. And it was interesting because 5 days ago, Caffeine was publishing in his blog in his blog about that, like just 5 days ago. So he was including some screenshot about from the panel, and you can see here the different messages. So related to pharma, scam, adult, webcams, casino, blah, 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 pharma, hosting, jobs. And this is like some stats about the botnet itself, the spam botnet. The total number of bots for this botnet, it was like more than 130,000 bots. So that was interesting. Okay, so just some conclusion. This is Andromeda. Even if it's there from a lot of years ago, it's far from dying. It's a live project. They are continue developing. I think the last announcement it was that they were about to update it to 2.10.1, but it's ongoing. He was saying coming soon, and then he was saying it's delayed, so it will arrive at some point. But it's interesting that Andromeda is also used by some serious criminal groups, not just by script kiddies, also for people who are making a lot of money, Drydex, Anunak. It's also interesting that maybe people are not checking really the plugins, but I think if you are interested about this, you should check the plugins because probably we'll see interesting things out of that. And I want to thank you to my team, the Fox IT Intel team, and especially to some people who have helped me a lot in this research, like Ronaldo Vasconcelos, Alberto Ortega, and Fran Ruiz, who should be around. again, to the malware research community, it's nice to share knowledge and to share samples, new things with people, especially to Alexandru, probably is here around also, from Bitdefender, who was telling me, hey, I saw, back in February, I think, I saw a JSON version of Andromeda. I say, oh, yes, tell me. And of course, to BotConf for organizing this great event. So thank you so much. And I'm not sure if we have time for questions. If not, you can stop me later and ask me everything.
We'll take one question. Over there. Dennis.
Hey. I can hear you, but I can repeat if you want.
So I'll try to do it louder. Oh, now it's working. So less louder. First of all, great talk, thank you. And secondly, Anunak Group, they work in, I think, presumably in Russia, the Russian banks. And as far as you told, Andromeda is not working in Russian, Ukrainian, Belarus, Kazakhstan. How is it correlated? It was special builder, something that excluded Russian languages from this attack?
Yeah, in that case, it was not. It was the 209 version. It was not the one including that flag. So that flag, even if in the last version, you have two different versions: the one with the flag and the one without the flag. So it was one without the flag, of course. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.